Everyone, I'm Sarah Squires, the Nurturing Coach, and today I'm going to be looking at how the narcissistic borderline parent achieves the role reversal within the parent-child relationship. So, in parental alienation cases, something happens which is psychologically very damaging to their children. It's something known as the role reversal. And narcissistic parents follow this pattern of behaviours to recruit their children to align with them against the other parent. If the parent was very controlling and that it was their behaviours that were doing the controlling, the child would notice that and other people would notice that. But the role reversal allows for the complete psychological control of the child, very similar to cult-like behaviours, without anyone really noticing, including the child. And so we're going to look at how that happens. So narcissists are essentially incapable of managing their own emotions, and so therefore they need someone outside of themselves, a regulatory other, to prevent them from falling into abandonment anxiety, inadequacy anxiety, and trauma anxiety, because they are very painful for the narcissist borderline parent, and so they will avoid that at all costs. And they've learned a very effective way of doing that, which is to recruit the child to be their regulatory other. So it needs the child, or they need the child, to regulate their emotions by being available to them to prevent that collapse into anxiety. So the child becomes the person responsible for making them feel adequate and making them believe that they're not going to leave them. Unfortunately, failure by the child to do so results in the narcissist or the borderline personality falling into rage, withdrawal. They completely dysregulate, and that can be really hard for a child to witness, but it's also an incredibly powerful conditioning tool, because you learn very quickly when your parent does that you don't want that to happen again. That doesn't get your needs met, and you feel that you're failing them, the guilt that you feel around them and the shame. And so they learn very quickly to become that regulatory other, that their role is to monitor the emotion. And what then happens is that child becomes psychologically fused to the alienating parent. So how do they do this? Well, one of the first ways is that expulsion demand. So the child learns that the narcissistic borderline parent, or the alienating parent, feels very anxious when the parent is near, so either on handovers or if there's school events. The alienating parent gets very anxious. Now, because they're psychologically fused, the child believes that anxiety is theirs and believes that it's because the targeted parent is nearby. And so the child, to alleviate their own anxiety, but actually the anxiety of the alienating parent, will push the safe and targeted parent away to ease that anxiety and prevent the dysregulation of the parent. The narcissistic borderline parent, the alienating parent, will grant affection and material indulgences to ensure that the child become kind of hooked in this process. It's very similar to a drug deal, really, that the alienating parent will give the child these amazing things that will meet their needs, which they desperately want. So hugs or affection, or even just noticing them, or it might be grander, it might be a trip away, it could be a new puppy. They give them those things when they do the behaviour that they want. So they, again, that conditioning behaviour of when you do that, you will be rewarded. And we know how powerful conditioning is in behaviour modification, and it really works very well with children. And so the child does this, they push away the targeted parent, and they get rewarded for that. So not only do they and the alienating parent not feel that anxiety, but the child gets an actual reward for that as well. So we've got this double bonus for the child, that they're feeling better, the environment feels better, and they're getting a prize for doing it. There are lots of subtle emotional clues as well that the alienating parent will give. So in a healthy relationship, a healthy child-parent relationship, the parent picks up on the emotions of the child. They read them. They know when they're hungry. When a baby cries, they learn, is it hunger? Do they need their nappy changing? Are they hot? Are they cold? You learn that because that's what healthy parenting does. That empathy, that attunement with your child. With a narcissistic or borderline parent, they are not able to do that. And so what happens is the child becomes the attuned one. They become the one who is able to pick up on the moods of their parent. And it's so subtle. It might be as simple as walking out the door when they're talking about something. The child learns, oh, they don't want to talk about that, so I better shut up. Or it could be a look. We've all been on the receiving end of the narcissist look. We know what that looks and feels like. The child knows what that feels like. And so the look could be enough to stop it. But these behaviours quickly, the child is navigating their way through what's allowed and what's not allowed. And those subtle cues are, then again, they're not that controlling overt behaviour. It's much more subtle. And so the child kind of doesn't really know what's going on, but it is learning, and it is creating pathways in their brain of, this is how I should behave, this is how I get my needs met, and I definitely shouldn't do that. And learning that what the narcissist alienating parent says is what they have to adhere to. And they distort reality completely. It's a cognitive distortion. What they say becomes the truth, and they believe that. And so because they're psychologically fused, so does the child. So you could argue with them the colour of a car that's just gone past, and they saw it, the child saw it was blue, and they're targeted, the alienating parent says, well, oh, what colour was that car? And the child will say, oh, it was blue. No, it wasn't. It wasn't blue. What? Are you crazy? It wasn't blue. It definitely wasn't blue. It was red. So the child, oh, okay. So the child goes, yes, okay, it was red. I'm sorry, I got it wrong. Another car goes past. What colour was that one? And the child's, oh, was it red? Red? No, it wasn't red. Oh my God, it wasn't red. How dare you say it was red? It clearly wasn't red. And they just create this distortion. So eventually what the child ends up saying is, what colour do you think it was? And waits for the input from the alienating parent, who will give them whatever answer, whatever makes them feel better. And the child will go, yes, I agree, that's the same. That's then moved on to the labelling of the targeted parent as being the abusive parent and the dangerous parent. So because they're fused, because the child is now looking to the alienated parent for confirmation of what is real and what is not, when the narcissist or borderline parent states that the targeted parent is abusive, it's just accepted by the child because they know the outcome if that isn't true, and their reality has been so distorted. They will then back this up with the use of fake empathy. So we like to feel understood. As humans, we like to feel that we are heard and we are understood. And so when a child will then maybe criticise the targeted parent for something very natural and normal, you've had a falling out, you wouldn't let them have any more sweets, for example, and the child goes home and says, oh, a bit annoyed with mum or dad, they wouldn't let me have any more sweets. The alienating parent will jump on that and demonstrate fake empathy by going, oh, you poor thing, that's so awful that they didn't listen to you and they didn't do what you wanted. They're such terrible, abusive people. And it reinforces that message that you are dangerous, that you are abusive, and that role reversal has become just part of how the child sees their world and themselves. This is the first in the series. We are going to be moving and building this along. We're going to be looking at how they induce the symptoms of rejection of the targeted parent in our next video. But I hope you found this useful. Does it resonate with you? Was it similar to your experience? I would love to hear from you. Please do comment below. If you are interested, I deliver training every other Sunday. Next one is, I believe it is the 6th, Sunday the 6th of June. And that's going to be on grief. So it's all the Surviving Parental Alienation series. The last one was anxiety. This one is going to be all about grief. If you want to register, do head to the website nurturingcoach.co.uk. But take care, everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment if you've got value from this. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.